Hey everyone, welcome to Unit 10, Laying Brick to the Line. So by the end of this chapter, you'll be able to attach a line block and line pins to a wall, set a trig, install corner poles on plywood panels, which we're not really going to worry about that in the lab, lay brick to the line while spacing them the correct distance from the line. So the line, which you've all seen in your tool ID, it's pretty easy, right? It's just something like that. So when we lay the line goes from point to point because anytime you have a point to a point in between is, well, it's not a straight line because I can't draw, but usually it's a straight line. And it's a good way for you to learn how to lay brick. So it's usually the way that apprentices and everyone will end up laying brick. When you're out on the job, there's going to be someone called the foreman. They're like the boss. And they'll usually put an apprentice. So if you're starting out and this is something that interests you, they'll put you out with a couple of people so you're not thrown into it on your own. So the reason for that is because then there's a gradual transition from people who have a high level of skill to people who have a lower or introductory level of skill. So let's start with laying brick. So the corner pole, again, this is stuff that we're not really going to worry about. So let's just X that out. The use of the line. So the line is something that we're going to be using in lab quite a bit. We're going to use it mainly with these line blocks, which again, those are on your tool ID test. So we're going to be using those. Um, Again, the line is extremely important. You always want to prepare the work area to make sure that you're ready to rock and roll, right? You don't want to have to go and have everything ready and then you're scrambling here and there trying to get one tool or one piece of material, whatever the case is. Attaching a line with the line block, this is something that we'll be going over in lab. And pulling and attaching the line with line pins. Now, depending on how much brick you lay, we will be able to cover this, but that's entirely up to you. So when we're laying the brick, um, when we have a distance in between, so generally when we start, we're going to start with corners, right? And it's going to look something like that. And then over here, we're going to have another corner. And then usually in between, just like this guy has here, we're going to end up having a brick in the middle, and this will be spaced accordingly with your masonry spacing ruler. The reason that he's doing this is because if we have a line that runs from here to here, you see this, the sag. So if you have a sag in the line, we're going to have to correct it. So when you have something in between like this, what we're going to do is lay our trig right here, and it's going to take the line. And that works in two ways. So not only will it help us with the height of the line and take the sag out, but if we're looking at it from the top, and let's say for whatever reason that our wall is starting to run out, so if we're looking at it from the top, we want it nice and straight, right? So we want our wall to look kind of like that. Sometimes what happens is, if you're not paying attention, is your courses can start to bump out. And this is what the top of your wall would look like. That's not something that we want, right? So we want to make sure that we're held in two different positions, right? So we want to make sure that we're plumb with the line that we have down, that goes all the way down. And we also want to make sure that we're nice and straight in line. And that's what setting a trig allows us to do. So some points to remember, a brick should always be picked up with the face out. So you want the face out, right? This means that the face, the nicest side of the brick, is looking right at you. The reason that you want that is that's the finished side of the wall, right? So if there's two sides of a brick and one looks like garbage and the other looks nice, you don't want the one that's garbage to sit on the outside because then that's what you need to look at. You want to make sure that the nice side is facing out, so it's a nice finished face. Anytime that you're setting brick or anything like that, you always want the material around 2 feet or within arm's reach, right? So imagine that you're standing here, right? Put a smiley face on because you're laying brick, and this is your little arm here, and you have your material and it's stacked here real nice, and you're real happy. Oh, that's so great. Look, you can reach it. What if your material's over here? That's no good. So then your friend that's over here laying brick with you, because they need to reach further, they're not going to like that. It's going to take a couple steps, and if you repeat that throughout the day, you end up wasting a lot of time. If the brick contains a depression or a frog, it should always be picked up with the frog facing down. Now, we really didn't get too much into this, we will later. A frog is just an indentation in the brick. So if we cut the brick like this is what a frog is. And there's better examples later on that we'll go over, but that allows more mortar to be put up on the inside of it. And you always want the frog facing down. A well-filled mortar bed and head joints should always be formed. So your bed joint, if we're laying brick, is this one, right? The bed one lays down. The head joint, right here, is this side. That's kind of it. Um, let's see. No, that's it. See you later.